Crown Lane Primary School in South London has 2 learning mentors. Kim Heemans and Sue Rustioni work as a team, supporting a wide range of pupils to overcome various barriers to learning. These could be behavioural problems, difficulties at home, poor studying or organisational skills, or low self-esteem. Issues that generally make life at school difficult for pupils. Both Kim and Sue started off as teaching assistants. Mentoring presents a career option for TAs who are attracted to a broader support role in schools.
I think the learning mentor is an extension of the TA role. Although the children do have targets, we approach it from a different angle, and there's a little bit more flexibility. And of course, having children out of class, you work in an entirely different role, and we need to build up and build up their self-esteem, a lot of them, to enable them to work effectively with the staff in the classroom.
The differences in mentoring is that you're establishing and building up things that you don't always see, and that you actually don't always see an outcome to initially. It's probably long term. If you can build up a child's resilience to trouble and things that are going on, that's not something that you can see, but it is something that will always be with a child.
If you are a TA thinking about becoming a learning mentor, this programme will show you a typical day with Kim and Sue, including their work with families, individual children, small groups, and some whole school projects. You'll also hear how they have adapted to this broader pastoral support role.
Good job, boys. Oh.
Learning mentors are relatively new in schools. They are part of a government initiative started in 1999. Research shows that they are making a significant impact on the schools where they are working, especially in areas of behaviour and attendance. Their roles include working with families of pupils. First thing every morning, Sue meets up with Amy and her mum. Amy has been a school refuser.
Amy is in year 3, and really right from the start was not too happy about coming to school. Mum felt she couldn't pressurise her into coming to school, and her attendance really became quite a serious problem. So I spoke to Mum and we talked about how we could get over this, and what I did was meet her in the playground every morning and go into class with her and make sure she was settled. See you later then. Have a good day. And then I would go out at playtime or lunchtime just to check that she was all right, and it really seems to, so far, have done the trick. The sort of issues that we have to deal with are quite varied. I mean, some children are unhappy at home for many reasons, and that actually comes into their school life. So we try to, at least when they come to school, they know that there's somewhere safe and secure, and there's always somebody they can come to. We're here to make sure that they get the best out of school life.
There might be different rules where people might go to the park and play by different rules, but what have we all got when you're doing play leader that you can show them?
We have the rules and we've been trained.
Learning mentors are generally involved in building social skills throughout the school. At Crown Lane, they have a play leader programme which Kim runs.
Play leaders started with a lot of the older children like to play with the younger children and keep them entertained, and it was something that the children used to do anyway. The deputy head and I thought it'd be a nice idea to actually give them a title and a role and give them some training, health and safety issues, making sure the children aren't playing running games too much and that their laces are tied, and sensible sorts of games, a bank of games that they would all know and probably learn from.
Can you line up nicely at the door, please? Check the rotor when you go out, because there's a couple of changes to the rotor.
Sometimes the playground can be very large and very scary, and if you've got no one to play with, it's quite an awful place to be. Part of being a learning mentor is giving the smaller children or the children that don't find it easy to make friends or socialise somebody very obvious to help them through that.
Learning mentors focus particularly on pupils with multiple disadvantages.
Hi girls, well done.
For me, I never used to like to go to school. There was lots of things I didn't like about school. I think my mum saw school as an establishment and, you know, hard to approach, and we didn't have lots of money. We didn't always have the right clothes. I used to actually truant from school because I found it difficult to face these things. So there's some things that I can understand, or, you know, that just understand that there are reasons why people don't like school and don't see the point.
I loved school. I really, really did love it. I had a wonderful time through all my school years. I mean, I left at 17 and cried. I really couldn't, I just could not think what I was going to do if I didn't go to school. I think that many of the children today don't have that experience. I was quite privileged, I think.
Robin, you want Andre?
It's very important to integrate children that are on the peripheral for any reason. You know, it might be the fact that they don't wear the right clothes or they don't live in the right area, and lots of reasons, and just bring them in, because it's very important to feel that you are part of the school and not feel like you are an outsider.
Everybody come!
After the morning break, Kim and Sue work with individual pupils who have been identified by the school as needing out-of-class support.
Ooh, what do you think's happening here?
At the heart of this support is building up confidence and self-esteem so pupils can fulfil their learning potential.
I've worked with Connor for about 8 months now. He comes out of class for one session and we read together, we look at books. It's not just rushed about reading, it's enjoying the time that we look at the book and the other work that he does to go with it. And he needs that quiet time, I think, to understand what's going on in the text as well as looking at the pictures and not be under strain and thinking, oh, I've got to read this and read it perfectly. It's about finding out what's going on in a book, in any book, really.
Where is it we're working today?
We're working at the climbing frame, and that's where the bunker is.
All right,
The
okay
two
then.
bunkers.
Sue is working with Keaton, who has an autistic spectrum disorder. She supports him in and out of the classroom to develop his social and communication skills.
The other bunker over there.
Keaton has great difficulty in sitting in class and focusing.
When the enemy approach,
He has obsessions, and at the moment his obsession is the military.
over there, soldier. Now shoot.
And of course that's not appropriate for classroom behaviour. So he's allowed to have his time with me where he can feel free and safe to enact all that he wants to do. And it just gives him a little bit of space.
Right, left, right.
So every day he's just writing in his diary what he's done. So what did he do on Monday?
Today we went to the vet.
That's it.
It's very similar to what you would do as a TA, though you'd very rarely get the time to spend some one-to-one time with a child without having any expectations in the end that are educational. You know, that this child will be able to read 5 books at the end of this. It's not about achieving a goal like that. And the pressure is different. For me, I've not got to panic and say he's got to be able to read this. I can just enjoy a book with him.
Lovely, well done.
He's gotten an awful lot better at his reading and actually becoming more confident in what he's doing and understanding.
March. Left, right, left, right.
I really don't have a problem. He loves it and he really gets something from it, and that makes me feel that I want to help him, and we laugh and he enjoys it too, and he needs to feel that he can be like that.
Miss Rustioni, yeah, she's a good soldier. She's been learning very well about squads. I'm going to be the enemy and you are going to shoot me, okay?
I actually left school quite early, at 15, and I didn't even leave with any qualifications. I had my family quite young and they all came through this school. I did work in the school voluntary for a few months, and a post became vacant for a learning support assistant, which was working specifically with 2 children and the families. When the children left, I then became a TA. I liked being a TA, but missed the wholeness of doing, you know, the working with the families. And then when I heard about mentoring, I thought, well, that sounds very similar to what I've been doing.
I'm just meditating. When my children were at Crown Lane School, I started by volunteering. Then a vacancy appeared for a primary helper, as it was in those days, and I got the job. The one teacher I was working with, I was an LSA in the class for one child, and this teacher encouraged me to talk to the mother at the end of the day to discuss what sort of day the child had had. I found I enjoyed that. I liked the contact with the parents, and when this job became advertised, I realised that I probably would be able to use my skills more broadly in this field.
Too late, Keaton. You've done it.
Although there are no prerequisite qualifications for learning mentors, they do need to have had experience of working with children and their families in some support role. Once they are appointed, they get a range of training.
I have done the counselling schools training. I did it for a term at college.
After lunch, Sue and Kim meet with Claire Banks, the school's inclusion manager. They report back on the work they are doing with pupils and plan their own ongoing professional development.
There is a huge amount of training available for learning mentors. I think most authorities have funding and will do a learning mentor training course for mentors following their appointment.
Introduction to emotional literacy and emotionally literary approach to anger management. They must be done together.
Yeah.
You can't do the second one without doing the first.
We also encourage the mentors to look at outside training, and wherever possible we will fund that or make available the time for them to go, so that they cover a range of the issues which they will be working with when they're doing the job.
How about rules? Remember, we're all working together.
Yeah. No pushing, no shoving, no fighting, no...
For the afternoon session, Kim and Sue join forces. This group is working on their social skills and learning how to play cooperatively. 3 of the children have been identified as needing support in this area, and the other 3 are brought along as role models.
We have some groups that Sue and I actually do together because we can kind of model behaviour. We do a group that play games and we teach them how to work as a team and be aware of each other's feelings and thoughts and how their actions actually affect each other.
And you two managed to stay on that square together. Well done.
Sometimes it's really nice when the children say, oh, you did something really good, and that from somebody their own age is probably better than us saying, oh, you did, you lined up really nicely. Their friends notice that they're doing something really well and that they're working as a team.
4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well done. Sue and I have worked together for the past year and a half. We're very supportive of each other. And even though we seem to come from very different backgrounds, Sue really loved school, I hated school, and, I don't think you could get 2 people that are more different, but can work together so well. I think for me, being a learning mentor is partly thinking about how I really disliked school and how, I was kind of on the peripheral quite often. And even though we don't have the children constantly from, reception class right through to year 6, hopefully we've built up enough of a relationship so that they can come and speak to you when there is a problem, if they do feel left out, or if there is any other sort of problem, that they still can be integrated in school.
Yeah, she was all right. She settled in really well.
Any problems that Amy has, she knows that Sue's there for her. Every morning when we come into school, Sue's waiting for her. Any problems in the classroom, Sue comes and attends to it. And any problems I feel that Amy has, I go to Sue. And to be honest, she's a very good friend as well as a mentor. So
I would like to think that children were as happy at school as I am. I really want school to work for them. I really want it to be a good experience.